A lot of companies struggle because they don't realize there's an actual new trade classification that encompasses solar panel installation, but it's not on wage determinations consistently. It's not used consistently. It's not understood consistently. It's a whole new set of trade classifications.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Prevailing Wage Report, where we promise it's certified. I'm your host, Mark Van Auken, and I'm joined by Heather Torretta, owner of Prevailing Wage Consulting. Before we dive in, if you like the podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or on your preferred podcasting platform. Thank you for joining me today, Heather.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning.
Morning. So, New Mexico. We're seeing a massive surge in renewable energy projects in New Mexico. How is this specific industry boom driving a new wave of prevailing wage compliance demand?
Sure. So the state is amazing. First off, it is also well known for all its wide open spaces, and there's a lot of capitalization on those spaces happening. And so the renewable energy projects are easier to approach in that particular state than a lot of other states. If you tried putting similar projects in, say, the state of Tennessee, there's significantly more restrictions than there are in New Mexico, just looking at the topography of the states, between the two states. Trees and mountains in one, and not nearly as many in the other. So just more.
There's more. So let's clear up any confusion for developers and contractors. Exactly when does prevailing wage apply to renewable energy projects in New Mexico?
Sure. So these projects are prevailing wage projects once they hit $60,000 in total construction budget. It's not very hard to hit that in renewable energy projects, even if it is solar panels or EV charging stations. So it pulls in a lot of the renewable projects. There are also tax credits that make it more intriguing and financially positive for a lot of developers and investors in the renewable space. So the workforce in New Mexico is also diverse, and so they like the overall environment with the actual environment, the people, the regulations. If you choose a state that is Arizona or California for the same reasons as the physical environment and the workforce, what is restrictive in those two states versus New Mexico, or say even Texas, is the prevailing wage laws, the labor laws that are associated with that state. So it makes New Mexico very appealing.
Yeah. I mean, 60,000 is not a high number to hit by any means when you're talking this in renewables.
Yes. Well, there's other states, like the state of California has a $1,000 threshold. In certain instances, there's other states that have like $5,000. And I'm like, that's not even an HVAC system. So it's like all the projects are prevailing wage projects. But I like that it's a little bit higher in New Mexico. It doesn't involve, if you have an elementary school and it needs to be painted, but only like the gymnasium, maybe that won't come in at 60,000. And that's nice because then it keeps the price down and the project can get done. But if the whole school needs painted, maybe that costs more than that. So there's pros and cons to each side. I know at the federal level, the requirement is $2,000, which basically makes all the projects prevailing wage. You can't even pay someone's paycheck at times for $2,000. So,
wow, that's crazy. So obviously wide open spaces, solar farms, I'm sure are popping up everywhere. what are the unique compliance risks in solar farm construction projects that contractors need to account for in their bids?
Sure. So it's solar. You're right with solar panels. There's also a ridiculous amount of wind turbines as well. But the solar panels are the ones that are, it seems to be more of a struggle because the solar panels are able to be put on the ground, but also on roofs. So understanding what the trade classifications are. When there's a solar panel farm being installed on a roof, are those individuals roofers? Are they electricians? Are they laborers? Like, what are they? That's really confusing. And then if you are installing them on the ground, which is very common as well, there's also big pieces of machinery being using. So are they operators as well? And the answer to that is yes to all of it. So common frustration is the trade classifications with solar projects, but it's also why there's new trade classifications that's been created over the last several years to help address what are these individuals. A lot of them have enough electrician type skills to install solar panels, but they don't to wire an office building or a home residence. So it's like, what do you do? Um, so yeah, and there's apprenticeship schools now too, specifically for solar panel installation, and that's not something that was around 20 years ago. So
Yeah. No, it definitely makes
progress.
sense. Yeah. Progress is progress.
Mhm.
So obviously the trade classifications are can be quite complex. Are there any specific worker classifications and specifically challenges that they face around that? Is there any kind of further minutia that they have to deal with?
Yes. Unfortunately, there's a lot of habits in the construction space, good and bad. And in this case, with the trade classifications, it's not always easily accepted. A lot of companies struggle because they don't realize there's an actual new trade classification that encompasses solar panel installation. It's generally overall called something along the lines of solar panel installer, um, but it's not on wage determinations consistently. It's not used consistently. It's not understood consistently. It's a whole new set of trade classifications. So that one, and then even even if you know about it, you have to request it, and then there's pushback from the client because they don't know about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that definitely makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very specific.
It is very specific because it goes back to, are they roofers? Are they laborers? Are they electricians? And the answer would be they're solar panel installers. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
they're everything.
it takes one project at a time to accept that. And then it'll become more widespread. And it's not just New Mexico that has this problem, but it's one that happens more often in that state because of the sheer quantity of solar panel uh, installation happening there.
Yeah, that does make sense. So, for everybody listening, if you are enjoying this conversation and you want to stay up to date on prevailing wage compliance, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or on your preferred podcasting platform. So, money is flowing from multiple sources right now. How does federal funding change the compliance requirements for these renewable projects in the state?
Sure. So if there's a project that has solar panels being installed, there are the state requirements, which aren't as robust necessarily as the federal requirements. However, there's the state requirements, there's the federal requirements, and then probably there is the IRA tax credit requirements for labor reporting. So you have to mash all those together. Um, what we've been seeing recently is the mashup between the federal and the state requirements have not been deliberate. They focus on one and then forget about the other, or they think they have one and don't realize that they can't ignore the other completely. While they look very similar, like twins, just like twins, one hates broccoli and one loves it. So you can't assume. So you have to know both. You can't just do one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So if a contractor misclassifies their solar crews or mismanages the payroll, what are the financial and operational consequences that they can have on these massive projects?
Similar to federal projects, but the state has its own penalties to associate with it. While the state prevailing wage rates are managed and maintained within the state, there are distinctions between them, and those distinctions come with some pretty consistent fines and penalties if they're missed. Um, I always thought it was, and there's lots of reasons why really behind it, but I always thought it was because the states don't want contractors and general contractors and developers to forget that it's there on a federal project, which is why they're so consistent on penalizing projects that aren't following the state requirements.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So it is our would you rather question of the time. So, would you rather never have to wash another dish for the rest of your life or never have to fold laundry ever again?
I would say have to wash another dish. I actually find folding laundry pretty cathartic. I talk with my hands. So if I'm talking on the phone, I find myself finished with 3 baskets of laundry before I know it. I do not have that same inclination with washing dishes. So I would say washing dishes if I never had to do that again.
Yeah, I'm actually the other way around. I would rather never have to fold laundry ever again.
Fair.
I am a laundry hater. I am.
Fair. I definitely know some of those people. And it's funny because it's not that I'm overly particular about how it gets folded or anything like that. I don't want it to stay all jumbled in the basket because inevitably something happens that makes it need to be washed again. So the impetus
Mhm.
is to not wash it again. So
Yeah.
like it's got to get folded. Um, yeah,
Yeah, no, I
but
get that.
I'm cool as long as both don't pile up. I don't need the funky science experiments in my kitchen, but I also don't want to have to like redo the laundry because something happened and now it's dirty again.
Yeah.
So,
No, very understandable. So, to wrap us out, to keep these projects moving forward efficiently, what is your number one tip for contractors trying to navigate New Mexico's specific renewable energy compliance hurdles?
I would say verify what the state requirements are before you start on the project. Understand, of course, if it has federal requirements, but the state requirements. Um, there's a lot of native land in New Mexico, which has its own reporting requirements, whether it's state or federal. There's the opportunity for a lot of renewable projects as well as other federally funded, state funded construction projects. Uh, so when you add in all these different variables, it gets all mixed up. So understand where that's coming from, what the requirements are, and then mix them well. I like to say mash them together, but I guess the better phrase would be fold them gently if you're into to baking. Fold them in gently so you can combine everything that's required, not just smashing it together.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So, thank you so much for joining me, Heather. It was a great conversation today.
Thank you. You too.
And everyone listening and watching, if you like the podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or on your preferred podcasting platform. And if you're active in the space and you want to surround yourself with people who actually get it, head over to our website to join our member portal, an exclusive community for professionals navigating these exact same waters. Have a great day.